Morning technical difficulties. Taking a bit to get this thing fired up. How are you? How are you? How are you? So I was just repositioning that up there in anticipation of moving the Mark IV, right? Up there. And of course that turned all the lights off on the bottom. I had to figure out where to place Hulkbuster, so he's just kind of chilling here on the floor. And move Black Widow, who doesn't really have a home yet either, from the Civil War. Put her up there. You can see her up there. So that's what took me a little bit longer than I thought. Thought I would just be able to be real quick, do it. Of course not. Doesn't work that way. I don't know which one of these boxes is which. I think I've got 3 boxes here, so I'm just going to open each one till I get to War Machine. Also, I've got notification that my Spider-Man 2099 is coming soon, and my Mark IV holographic is coming soon. Good morning, Toys Mafia. How are you? Good morning, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, good day. Jake, good seeing you. Welcome. Happy Saturday. C'est bon, Mason. Good morning. CBS Sci-Fi, how are you? With Mark VI. That's right. Every one of these War Machines, I seem to just be blown away. All right, this is the Black Widow. We're opening her up in, I think in a couple of weeks. So when you buy these from 1/6 Kit, 1/6 Outfitters, some of the manufacturers out of Hong Kong, China, or resellers, you don't get the brown shipper box, by the way, in case you're ever curious. Buying from Sideshow, Big Bad Toy Store, you get the brown shipper box. So this is the box that this came in. So we'll set her aside. We'll get to her, I think, in a week or two. Let's see what's in this one. Oh, and oh my goodness, Anti-Ock Spider-Man. Yeah, that obviously is a no-brainer. You notice they made 2 total different. It's not an MMS because it's a video game masterpiece series. It's a VGM, but they made different numbers. Sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes they just use a different, like Sideshow number, like they would take 902045, and then if it was the deluxe or the special edition, they would take 902045 and then put a 1 behind it, but they would both have the same MMS number. This time with the Anti-Ock suit, they made a VGM 44 and a VGM 45. All right, this is Rocket from Avengers Endgame. I think we opened him in 3 weeks. I don't know why they make the decision as to whether or not to give it an entirely different sequence number. The only difference that I've seen is the Anti-Ock Dr. Octopus's tentacles and a little cover for the display stand. Other than that, it appears to be the exact same figure. So if you want the Dr. Octopus tentacles from the PlayStation 4 video game, then you would order the deluxe version. If you don't care for the tentacles because you don't associate with that Doc Ock, then you would just get the standard Spidey and save $20 or whatever it is. I don't remember what the price difference is between the two. It's not scheduled to release for 18 months, which I think is a very long time for that. It appears to be the same type of suit material that the Iron Spider is made out of. Has a luminescent reflective yellow spider emblem on his chest and the eyes, but they're not sending you any UV light to light them up. So This is Hawkeye, the non-Ronin version, the non-deluxe. I think we open him up next week. And here's War Machine. I've also got two more Bisons coming, two new Bisons coming that are being shipped out now. So I'll be able to check those out. So I've got 4 more figures coming essentially in the next couple of weeks or thereabouts. By the way, so on the Hall of Armor that I'm using to hold him, I'm using the metal rod without any screw attachments on the bottom of it. They make different ones of these. This is the metal one. Don't remember what suits this came with. I think this came with the original diecasts without the back support on it, which affords you the opportunity to get it the closest to the metal rod, because the back support sticks out about that much, and we want to get it as close to the rod to have them stand on the platform for that Hall of Armor. In case you're curious which one of these that I'm using to hold those. And that's what I'm doing with that. Lego, how you doing, man? Welcome, welcome. Robert, how's it going? Yeah, good seeing everybody. Let's get this other War Machine over here too while we're at it, because he's going up top, and this is going to take his place. So might as well get him over here for comparison purposes as well. Each one of these War Machines, they just get more and more amazing every time. Got him behind my Spidey. Probably going to go with a similar style pose on the new one. Something to that effect. My coffee cup out of the way. Don't want to spill that. Ian, how's it going, man? Cold, gloomy UK. My wife likes watching this television show on Netflix called The Great British Baking Show. Paul Hollywood, Prue, I forget her last name. Used to be Mary Bears, who started originally. It's got Noel Fielding as a comic relief on it. She really enjoys watching that. I'm curious whether they film it in the spring, the summer, or the fall. They have rain occasionally, but it always looks beautiful on the weekends there. I'm doing well, Lego. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you all are not going too stir crazy during the lockdown that most of us across the world are experiencing in one form or another. A lot of social events that we used to all be able to partake have been stopped, canceled, postponed, revoked, refused. So you got to get out and see your friends and your family every now and again, right? Don't remember when it was they first started this sliding. I'm not sure what I think about it. I guess it really doesn't matter how the box works. They got the plop, they got the separate, but it makes it, you know, with the other die cast where it separates here in the middle, where you got the two pieces, I would grab this and the bottom of it would fall off and I'd have to go pick it up. So I can see, you know, this time I pick this up and this falls off. I guess the only one that really makes you feel confident in regards to picking the box up and moving it around is the regular old shoebox style, which I don't think they've ever done with a die-cast figure. It's an interesting angle that they put on the front of this. It almost makes him look beefy, like looking up from him. When the movie was, before the movie come out, And I think it was Lego that had first shown the War Machine figures. I think the Iron Patriot they showed is this huge, like, Hulkbuster style figure. And so we were all under the impression that it was possible that there was going to be a very large War Machine. And of course, that never happened. And so I wonder what their thought process was on this filming or posing him in such a manner that you just have this upshot, which makes his head look absolutely huge. Like a giant Hulkbuster or something. I don't know what the deal is with that. One thing I found interesting also was they went from 4 to 6. Now we have a team suit War Machine, but if you search the internet, you'll find the Mark V, and some people comment that it looks exactly like the 4 or the 6, and I'm like, it doesn't look like neither the 4 nor the 6. It looks as much like the 4 as the 6 does, which is obviously, as you guys know, or we'll find out in a minute, it isn't much. It has its own look, but they never put it into the movie, evidently. So there is no official Mark V, but there is a Mark V. But we have the team suit, the Avengers, you know, the suit that the whole group wore when they went through the gosh, what am I looking? You know, Ant-Man's device, the quantum realm. When they went to the quantum realm, he wore a suit. Now I don't know whether it was a repainted Mark IV or a repainted Mark VI. I haven't really looked at it that much, but I would imagine, in my opinion, that would be the Mark V, right? If the Iron Patriot is a different one from the Mark II, and it literally is just a repaint, and we have the Mark II, and we have the Mark II New Avengers Mark II, we have 3 of those Mark IIs, each one's just a different paint scheme, why would there not be an Avengers have its own number? Or why would it not be like the Mark IV New Avengers? And where the hell is it? Why hasn't Hot Toys showed it to us? What seems to be the problem here? If it's a simple Mark IV and it just needs to be repainted, then frickin' repaint the gosh darn thing. If it's a Mark VI that needs to be repainted, same solution to the problem. And if it's a different Mark V, then why the hell are you making a Mark VI and an Iron Patriot and skipping over the Team Avengers? And where are the rest of the team suits? They showed us Captain America's, but never announced it. The only one they have is Tony Stark. And it's still available for pre-order. It hasn't sold out. Maybe that's why they haven't made the others. Or maybe they haven't made the others because they expect us just to buy a bunch of Tony Starks and put Captain America's head on it and Hawkeye's head on it, etc., etc., etc. I don't have any idea. This is, I think, the same color that they used for the Mark IV, this black styrofoam. Juan Avalos, welcome to the channel. How you doing? Good seeing you. Nice, Daniel Craig. It's so funny when I remember when Daniel Craig was announced to become James Bond many years ago. I don't even know how long he's been playing Bond now. A lot of people were like, huh? He's not handsome. He's not a good-looking Bond. You know, Bond wasn't always good-looking. I guess Roger Moore was the prettiest James Bond we ever had. Sean Connery wasn't necessarily a handsome man as far as that goes. He wasn't, you know, a sex symbol in that regard. He obviously is. A lot of women find him quite handsome. But like Daniel Craig, he's just a rough-looking guy. Unlike, you know, Pierce Brosnan and some of the other guys that were, you know, good-looking guys, you know, handsome men. I was like, Daniel Craig? Really? That was far from handsome as you can get. But he's rough, like Sean Connery. Handsome, you know? Not that I'm no Brad Pitt over on this end of the world, right? Right, so this is what's coming out of the box. I kind of was running my mouth and not showing you what's happening here. Not much here in the main case. We have extra hands. We have the head sculpt with the helmet and the faceplate for said head sculpt with the helmet. and his shoulder cannon. That's what's in the main sight. Fists, articulated hand, and repulsor hands. So those are the hands that we get. 3 sets of hands. And then of course we have this side. Which also looks pretty bleak. Not much going on. No battle damage pieces. Thought it was funny when Nebula and War Machine were the team to go get the Infinity Stone from Star-Lord, and they showed the Guardians of the Galaxy scene where Star-Lord was stealing, I guess it was an orb, I don't remember what exactly it was he was getting. And of course, when we've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, he's dancing to the music, and we hear the music, and we see him dancing. And then, of course, they showed it from their viewpoint, and he's just dancing and singing off key. And I think it was Don Cheadle's character in his head. So he's an idiot, right? I thought that was funny. Thought that was pretty clever. A little stupid humor as such. So we have an instruction manual. I think I might want to put the batteries in him to have a look at him lit up. I don't like putting the batteries in. They're such a hassle just to take right out after you put them in, but I think I'm going to light them up. Here's our base. And they're using the sliding articulated pose stand. And it's so funny. Again, originally, they said if you're using a die-cast figure to only use these metal rods. Literally what they said. And then as time progressed, they've gone to be shipping them with the crotch grabbers and even these articulated ones, claiming that originally they weren't strong enough to hold the figures. So I don't know why they would change their opinion on that. There's the battery, screwdriver, and tweezers that they give us. And this is the waist grabber they give us. Notice that was show you the difference between these two in case you didn't know. Actually, there's many of these waist grabbers actually. So this is the one on the bottom is the one I'll be using with the metal rod and the Hall of Armor. Hall of Armor comes with, if I remember correctly, a crotch rest, which is fine, and it's easy to get the figure in and out of if you're just setting it on that crotch rest. But I find, personally, I like using these to hold him in place and just wrap it right around his waist to keep him from falling over, or for whatever reason he's actually affixed. With the little rocker that he sits on, he can still fall over or fall out of the Hall of Armor set. So that's what's good with these. And again, I don't remember which suits these came with. I think they came with the original, the older sets that had the square base to them, similar to the Hall of Armor, if I remember correctly. And then on these, there's there's multiples of these now. This is one of the newer ones. It's much larger opening here, and this rubber piece, this piece here is rubber, and what it's designed to do is, through the weight and friction of it, as you put it on this thicker display stand, the rubber is supposed to rub up against this and keep it from sliding down. But other than that, there's nothing really keeping it from sliding down. You can tighten this screw here, but both this and this, they're both flexible. So in time, of course, if you decide to put this into a flight pose, which you totally would be able to do such, there's enough pull there to put them in the air, but there's just not enough resistance in regards to you know, against this rubber and the strength of this articulated pose to hold this for a very long time, to pose it and forget it. Eventually something's going to give in regards to the holding of this. So I don't think it's a good idea for these die-cast figures to be in this configuration. Great for any of the plastic ones that don't have so much weight, and even then, still, you know, eventually things are going to start sliding down. But they've gone with a thicker articulated pose stand and a larger opening on these. But I still don't think they're as good as the old-fashioned ones where it actually had a lock. You unscrewed it, stick it on there, and it sat there. There's no up or down for it. The bad thing about that was you couldn't adjust the height of it. So it's give or take. So in your posing and displaying of the figures, make your own judgment as to which combination of these you'll be using to put your figure wherever you want. It is nice to get these because, especially like the Spider-Mans or any of the other flying figures, Visions and your Scarlet Witches and your Captain Marvels, any of the figures you want to put in the air, you know, this is good to get for that. So it's always good to have them because they don't necessarily come with that to give you those options. So I'm happy to get, anytime I can get one of these, I'm very pleased, or any type of configuration that fits in this as that regards, or the other variations as such. So speaking of, on that, where are we here? The what I have Mark IV on right now is a metal rod, but it's on the screw-in metal rod, and I'll show you that. Definitely going to need these here in a minute. I don't put anything back in the boxes anymore. It used to be I kept all the accessories in the boxes that I weren't using. Then I'd forget where the box was. I couldn't find the box. I couldn't put the other accessories on. So now I have my little drawers to keep all of the accessories in. And this will go back in his brown shipper and go out to the garage. There's no more room to store these boxes either. It's crazy. All right. So, talking about these rods still, stay on that subject before moving on. So what we have here for this War Machine, remember I was telling you the rod that I'm using for the Hall of Armor doesn't have any threads. This one has the threads. And so it screwed it into this display and then put the one with the back support on this. So that's how he was there. So what we'll be doing is essentially retiring this base, using this base, and just moving this over to here is what the plan will be when we're ready to put them in. So that's where we're going for that. All right. So Whiplash Mark II is beefy and heavy. It's probably the beefiest and heaviest die-cast. It's arguable that the Hulkbuster is die-cast. They've added die-cast pieces to him, but he wasn't die-cast in the original offering of him. I bought the original one, but before it actually got delivered, they made a lot of changes to it, and that's what took it so long for it to actually come out. And they put some die-cast reinforcement in him. So in regards to pieces having die-cast in them, Hulkbuster would as well then be the biggest and beefiest die-cast for that matter, but he's not considered a die-cast figure as these are, which have a lot more die-cast in them, specifically in the legs, where I think Hulkbuster's just in the joints at the hips, is I think is all the pieces that they made die-cast on him. Yeah, he has a new Iron Patriot suit that's coming out as well. which would be the one after this. It's the one we've seen at the actual end scene of Avengers Endgame. So, get all these little pieces off of him here. Should have I need to put all these back in the box and put the box away, and I wasn't even done. Sometimes these are a real hassle to get off. They end up ripping apart instead of coming apart or out. And of course, they put them here to try to keep the paint from rubbing from all the edges and such as they're assembling and putting them together and shipping him to you. He looks great. Again, on the discussion / argument, whatever the case is, with the Pepper rescue suit, as noticed on the Whiplash or the War Machine suits, the number designation is 3 digits, 006. Tony does not number his suits with 3 digits. A couple of them we have actual numbers on. We've seen Mark 42 on the Mark 42 in the movie. The figure was not delivered with the Mark 42 on it, but in the movie he's sitting there on the couch in Iron Man 3. Pepper comes home and the suit's just sitting there on the couch, and she's like, so what is that, like 15 or something? And you see him look at his forearm, and right there on the forearm it says MK42, 42, not Roman numerals, 42. On the Hall of Armor, they're Roman numerals. But Mark 42, it's not Roman numerals, it's number 4 and number 2. And he's like, yeah, something like that. And I think it's the Mark 15 has it on there, MK15. So Tony uses 2 digits on his suits. Rhodey's is 3 digits on his suits. Evidence again here on the Mark 4 and on the Mark 6. Right there, 006. The rescue suit has 4 digits. None of Tony's suits have 4 digits. Not a one of them. Not one. So it is my belief that that is the 49th suit that Pepper Potts has, or has had available to her. And she is a master with that suit. She didn't have to go through any training. For instance, Dr. Bruce Banner, PhD, had to go through training to operate the Hulkbuster Mark II. He wasn't very good at it. Pepper shows up in the rescue suit. She's immediately kicking ass. There was no learning curve for her. She was very familiar with that suit, as she was posed or poised in tandem with Tony kicking some serious ass. So I believe she was very familiar with the suit, had worn the suit, even though Tony says to Morgana, I think that was her name, his daughter, that mom never wears anything that he gives her. So I do not believe that is the Mark 49. I'm still under the impression when Black Widow comes out within the next year, whenever it's actually coming out, that we will see a Mark 49 then. I think there's something going on in the time frame of the Black Widow time frame, the Spider-Man Homecoming time frame, where Tony is over in Asia, or wherever it is that he is, wearing the white garb that he is, talking to Peter Parker, and the Mark 47 suit comes to Peter's rescue. What in the world would Tony be having his Mark 47 15,000 miles away, or whatever the distance is from that to the other, from him? He knows how long it takes a suit to travel to him. He was calculating that in Iron Man 3, when he was waiting for the prodigal son to show up, and he was counting it down, 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And he had him attached to the bed frame, so he knows how long it takes a suit to travel to him. And that's a long time for a suit to go someplace. And he wasn't wearing at the time, you know, a nano suit where you just give it a little tap and it comes on. He's had to put his finger into the helicopter to get the 46 to come onto him, right? So, you know, I have a hard time believing that he would just leave his 47 suit back there in New York and be all the way on the other side of the world without a suit. So I have a feeling that we're going to see more of that story in the Black Widow movie, and there's going to be a Mark 49 announced in that movie. I may be so far off in regards to my hypothesis that it's not anywhere close to what's happening, but that's what I believe. I refuse to believe, no matter what expert claims, that truly is Tony's suit. It's not going to make any sense to me. Just not until all the blanks are filled in, and Black Widow is filling in a blank. Story before she's dead, so obviously it happens before Infinity War, Endgame, right? So looking at this, just looking at it, I think we've gone back to a more streamlined suit, as in the War Machine Mark II streamlined. Whereas this is more of a, and just was my first impression here, more of a beefier, grunty War Machine Mark I style suit. Just looking at these, just initial impression here. This one just appears to be, this Mark IV appears to be a little more beefier and gruntier than the Mark VI. Definitely going to have to change his arm cannons out. Does he not come with any arm cannons? How about that? Yeah, the more I look at this, exactly the impression that I'm getting is he's gone back down to the more sleeker, slimmed down style that the Mark II was on this Mark VI compared to this Mark IV. This Mark IV is very beefy and grunty. The thighs are thicker. The forearms are thicker. The calves are thicker. It's just more of a presence on this one than there is with this suit. No doubt about that. Definitely more streamlined. Because as Tony was getting streamlined, War Machine was still, you know, just a War Machine, just an industrial military vehicle. Just, even though he was retired, it still was just, you know, a tank, more or less, compared to Tony's streamlined suits. So it's interesting to see the progression going to a more sleek, slimmed down figure. Really interesting. See the calf sizes here. And he comes with nothing. There's no forearm cannons to put on there, no wings on the back, no extra missile packs or anything. And looking at this and my memory kind of jogging, this is really what the team suit is. If my memory is serving me right, the team suit looks like this. I really need to compare that. If that's the case, then here's your team suit, and you would just repaint it. Now, I'm no repainter, but I would hope that somebody out there would be painting this in the scheme of a team suit, if it is truly the suit that they use to travel through time in. So where are we at? Let's go through the instruction manual here. See if these... I want to see if there's any difference on the faceplate between these two. See if the faceplate even comes off of this one. Doesn't appear to. It is a separate piece. As I lift on it after removing the top to get to the battery access, it is a separate piece that was put on it, but I think it's glued on. I don't think it's supposed to come off. Yeah, there's no. I don't believe this is an interchangeable faceplate. And that's unfortunate because this one's definitely battle damaged or dirty. The helmets themselves have the same battle damage markings on them, which really isn't a battle damage. You know, there's people that will say battle damage is like beat up. These little marks, scratches and all that they put on it, it really isn't like a battle damage. But by golly, if my car got scratched up like that, I'd be furious. But no, this faceplate isn't designed to come off. But it's definitely the clean one compared to this one, which has the marks on it as in the battle damage mark. And I think they did a good job in the likeness of Don Cheadle here. I think that looks very much like him. Sculptors have become experts in regards to making these. Did a great job. Really good job. And, you know, of course, we always get the little drop down here. I don't remember if the Tony suits do this or not, but I remember the War Machine suits do. So in all actuality, where you depose it with the helmet up, you know, to be true to it, you would also want to drop that jaw. Instead of having it there, you would want to drop it down all the way. And then when you put the helmet on, lock it up with the jaw there. One thing I always hated on the War Machines was these helmets faceplates never really sat on there properly. And kind of still have the same problem here. It's just not a good original design for it to be up. There's, you know, they put a huge magnet on there and the little pieces of metal on there to hold it in place. But it's just, it'll hold it, okay? But if you ever were to examine it, it's not exactly squared onto the helmet. You know what I mean? You can't really get it to a position that it will necessarily fit perfectly squared onto the helmet. It'll sit up and it'll stay there, but it's not really ever really squared onto the helmet perfectly. Just the design of the helmet, of how it's set up. Not Hot Toys' fault. It was just the design of the helmets, and all the War Machine helmets follow the same style. It's Tony's fault. Whereas the Iron Man helmets, except for the Mark 22, which is what the first War Machine Mark II was fashioned after, is as such. So let's look at some instruction manuals here. This is the Mark VI, and then we have the Iron Patriot after that. When they made the original Iron Patriot, it didn't give it another mark number. It wasn't the Mark III. It's the Mark II, and then the Iron Patriot. So essentially, the new Iron Patriot would be Iron Patriot Mark II, I guess. They didn't call it the Mark III. There is a Mark III, but the Iron Patriot is essentially the Mark II repainted, and there's two versions of the Mark II. So essentially there's 3 Mark IIs, 4 if you count the hot rod. So in all actuality, it's really the Mark 22 times 4, which goes again to the rescue suit. If 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 Rhodes was going to be wearing the hot rod, which was the Mark 22s, was the prototype for the War Machine, why wouldn't he put Rhodes wearing the hot rod Mark 22? Why didn't he put Mark 22 on it? If he's given, if they're wearing the numbers, if Pepper's wearing Iron Man's numbers, why wasn't Rhodey wearing 22? Because it's his own suit, number 2. And he respected that number 1 was made by Justin Hammer. He named the number 2. Simple as that. Another argument for the reason why the rescue suit 0049 is not Tony's Mark 49 Iron Man suit. I'm going to stick to my guns on that. They put a little addition in here. I've only seen this happen one other time, where they had a addendum saying, oh, by the way, so this is what they done afterwards. And it's because they changed the battery size on it. It didn't change the necessarily the design of the suit. Yeah, they did that too. No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. No, they changed it. Somebody put the pictures in there screwy. So what this represents is page 2. And page 2 in the let's show you. Here's page 1 of the instruction manual. It's nice to have this on the video, because having to find this book again wherever you happen to file it away may be difficult to find. At least if it's on the video, you can have a peek at it again. So that's page 1, which shows us where the battery goes in the back, and the AG1 LR621s are the ones that go back there. And what's this? The front also has batteries? Am I understanding this correctly? What the hell am I looking at? Oh, okay, I see. God, can they make this any more confusing? All right. So that's the head sculpt, believe it or not. That's the downward look on the head. I mean, you can't really tell that that's the head, but I mean, obviously it would make sense because they show you the head sculpt here and here. But that's the downward look of the head. I think that's a terrible angle to make that conclusion from. It's difficult to figure out exactly that's what you're looking at. And this is the back here. So this is the head, what they're trying to show you there. So then when they get over here to the arms, the whoever drew this picture here, they put the little battery cover on backwards. You see how it's facing? You're never going to fit it on there with it facing in that direction. So the two things that they did with this correction sheet was put the battery cover in the right direction to go onto the arm, and put the battery size in there as well. They corrected the battery size. So according to this, there's 3 different batteries: the LR41s, LR621s, and L521F. So AG0, AG3, and AG1 are the batteries for them. And looking in the box, I see 3 different size batteries. So it appears that they went with a larger battery for this arm than what was initially planned on it, according to the initial instructions. They claim that the shoulder armor has an automatically adjusting mechanism in it, so as you move the arm around, the shoulder piece will move accordingly. And then they show you the 3 different arms on there. Unlike some of the other war machines, you can't put the gun into any other position than just the one side. It only goes on the one shoulder. So it's a right shoulder mounted gun, period. It can't be put onto any other shoulder. You can't switch it over to the left shoulder or the right shoulder. It's only going to be on the right shoulder for that. Shows the chest piece coming off. Very rarely have I ever just displayed a piece without the chest piece on it. And then it shows some areas in regards to where you could end up damaging the figure as paint rubs and the degrees that you can move the figure in. Next page as well shows the degrees that you can move the figure in. And the waist articulation and how the feet drop down to allow you to get more ankle pivot, which is great for posing in that regards. I like the drop down feet option on these suits. And here again they show you a lot of different points, which I think these are all areas which you could damage the suit on if you're not paying attention. Yeah, be careful of these sharp edges on the armor. So you want to be mindful of those as you're handling and posing your figure. And very importantly, don't drop it on your toe or you're going to exclaim like that. And don't ever store your batteries in your figures. Don't do it. They literally will like explode. They just come apart. And you don't want them to leak acid and mess up your figure, which is another reason why I don't like putting the batteries in here, because it's such a hassle to getting the batteries in the first place. You then have to go through that exact same hassle to remove the batteries. I really wish that there was an affordable way of putting an AC power into these. That is my true wish. What's going on with my computer over here? Oh, jeez. Just lost my screen. I hate this computer. If I wasn't buying figures, I'd be able to buy computers and display cases. They're keeping me broke, man. 2 more figures coming. Actually, 4 more figures coming right now. Plus, like, Ant-Man should be coming soon and Wasp should be coming soon. What else have I seen that's coming? I really want to get that female Venom. Yeah, man. It's going to become one of my grails. What the hell happened to my computer, for real? I don't see any chat or nothing. Let me give it a boot. It takes like 30 minutes to boot this freaking computer, dude. Real hassle. Toshiba laptop. Don't waste your money. Do not waste your money on a Toshiba laptop. This is an old laptop. This was bought when Windows 8 first came out. They'll take anything. 6 years ago or whatever it was. But it's been a problem from day one. I don't remember which figure these tweezers came with, but man, oh man, oh man, I've been pleased as punch to have them. They're bigger than the ones that Hot Toys gives you. Hot Toys used to never give you any tweezers, so it was nice when they started including them. But it's sharper and bigger. You know, this isn't as sharp, so it becomes difficult to shove it into the small areas that the battery compartments contain. But they've included tweezers, a screwdriver, and their little battery flipper, or whatever this thing is supposed to be. This. They gave you the deluxe set with this one. Everything. Screwdriver, tweezers, and the battery flipper. Trying to take care of you. So which one is this? The AG0 is the medium-sized one, right? No. No, wait a minute. The head sculpt gets the AG1, LR621, which is the medium one. So the head sculpt gets the medium battery out of 3 different battery sizes that they include here. Talking about 007, I've got the Duran Duran song View to a Kill going through my head. Very easy to getting them in here. By gosh darn time, it wasn't an effort. Just lock them in place so they don't go flying across the room. I'm not going to tighten it down all the way because I'll be taking them out shortly. Red light is the most difficult to light up with a LED power source. You know, it's at the other end of the spectrum. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, ultraviolet. Red's all the way at the other end. It's interesting. Our eyes even focus differently. If you look at, I mean, truly look at typeset of the different words written in different colors, your eyes actually focus differently. The letters actually are closer or further away depending on the color of them. So red never really shines bright enough. They really need to jack up the voltage on them if you want to get a true red. So they'll use sometimes white LEDs and then put red filters on them, which give it a pink hue. So a red LED just doesn't light up. And of course, here we are back again to the pink. So they're using a white LED with red lenses. And of course, the white just turns the red pink. So that's the unfortunateness to it. If they were to use a red LED, it just wouldn't be very bright. They would have to use more than 4.5 volts to juice it. And then you leave the chance of burning the LED out. So if you want it to be red, you'd have to put a red LED on there. And it just, 4.5 volts isn't enough to make a red LED bright. It's unfortunate. So that's what we have. So anytime, you won't get the pink. I mean, you won't get the red. That's always going to be pink. It's unfortunate. Come on, you stupid computer. My desktop, of course, is a grunty computer. It works perfectly fine. This is also funny. On this head sculpt here, we have a reminiscent carryover from the old days of when they were first, these units used to come with the batteries in them, and there's a slot in there that had a piece of plastic in there to keep the batteries from actually draining or actually powering the unit until you actually open it, and you would pull the little plastic tab out, which is good if you were to buy any of the current AC adapter pieces. You can run the wires through that for that. But yeah, I would love for someone to make an AC adapter that is economical. It shouldn't cost $100 for a figure to AC power this. I mean, that's stupid. That's stupid money. It shouldn't cost that. An AC power adapter for these figures should cost $100. It doesn't have to be remote controlled. That's my opinion on that. Just give me an AC converter that converts the AC power from my wall to DC and has a red and a black lead with a little piece of plastic in there the size of the batteries, and all I gotta do is just snap it in and plug it in. I mean, you can buy AC adapters all day long for 10-20 bucks or whatever it is, you know, 30 bucks maybe at the most. So I can't imagine it costing more than that. For it to be $100, I mean, that's baloney. That's ridiculous. So I would light everything up in here. I would drain the electric company. And shit, at $100 a piece, come on, that's ridiculous. So let's get these batteries out of here now that we've powered this up. I just put these batteries right in a box. I don't know what I'm keeping them for. I really should be just selling them on eBay. They'll never get used. What is taking this computer so long to do anything? Tell you, man, it's a 30-minute boot up. So I'm sorry, I won't see any chat currently until the computer comes back. I don't want to move my desktop in here. You know, this is my figure room. It's the most reliable computer in the house, though. All right. Still over there thinking about starting up is what it's thinking about. Did a good job with this neck articulation. You can move it forward, shift it back, which is good for, you know, down poses and up poses. So you don't get a lot of movement in regards to looking up. So there's no direct flight looking up type of a thing. So best case scenario, you're really only going to get just like kind of a upward tilt. Here we go. Picture of the landscape. I'll be able to put password here in a minute. Yeah, but you can't get a good down per se. You can look down at Ant-Man. And we will be using the head sculpt. I'm glad they did away with the baton. I mean, I don't know, non-lethal form of whipping someone's ass, the baton. They gave them to him, War Machine, and Black Widow. But it's a neat feature. I'm glad they got rid of it, though. You know, it's funny, pulling the foot down, I don't hear a snap going down. It just kind of comes down, but pushing it back up, obviously there's a snap there. I wonder if the other foot does the same. Okay, there's a snap there. So why is this one not snapping as it opens? There's a snap closing. No snap. And I don't want to snap it off. It's not snapping down. Snap's going in. No snap coming down. What that affords you is the opportunity to, for instance, so I'll put one of these feet up. So with it up, you have some ankle pivot, but when it's down, you have more ankle pivot. So if you wanted to put them into a type of a kneeling pose, or as I had him in here, kind of a running style pose, with it down, you can get more of an ankle pivot than you can with it in its up position. It is nice, the three pieces of the lower leg here that move up out of the way, the front, the back, and the inside piece, which again as well offers you a lot more articulation. Double jointed knees, so you can get a really great pose as such. Also, here's another thing as well in regards to the pulling down of the foot. So with the foot, I'll just show you with it in this pose here. So with the foot up, that's as far straight you can get the foot down. But with the foot pulled down, you can bend the toe down furthermore. You see, these knees are in the same spot, but this foot has been pulled down. We can get more toe into it. Whereas with it not pulled down, this is as far as the toe as you can go. You can see that difference there. Those legs are in the same spot. This toe has been pulled, this foot has been pulled down, which enables the flat foot to go more flat with this here. The other advantage of the foot. And then of course the hips pull down as well. You can see the difference there on those two hips, how that one's pulled down, which is going to give you the opportunity to put him into better poses here with all these little flaps that move up out of the way. Pretty extreme pose positions you can get them into with those flaps out of the way and the hip dislocated. Same thing with the waist. The waist separates to allow ab crunch. So that's it compressed, which does still have some ab crunch, But when you separate it, you get much more ab crunch. And twisting. Give me a password option over here, you stupid computer. Here we go. Damn it. Make sure when you stand these that you keep in mind the little toes move. So you always want to, in a sense, when you stand them, push the toes down to help them stand in place. They don't do much, really, but with the toes up, there's a lot less piece of anything keeping them up. They don't really do much, but I always make sure to push the toes down to keep them from falling over like that. I didn't take any consideration when I did that. And you almost want to stand them backwards also to make sure they don't fall forward. So otherwise you'll be picking your figures up if you decide to pose them without a posing stand. Hey, it looks great. It's just not as beefy as the other War Machine. Again, I don't know how long he's going to be on the shelf before the Iron Patriot replaces him. But I am curious again still if he is the team suit, the Quantum Realm suit, this Mark 6. Alright, let's get my web browser open. Oh, can't open it yet. The computer's still thinking about what it wants to do. Alright, let's see. This is... looks like 2 pieces come off of this. No, 1 piece. They show you with the 2 arrows, but it's only 1 piece that actually comes off of this. But you want to pull it. So this is where the elbow is. So you want to pull it kind of right there from where the elbow is to get to it. Kind of disappointed there's no arm cannons for real. I mean, I have a hard time believing that he doesn't have arm cannons on this figure, on this suit. And this screwdriver is too large. Take that screw out. You know, it's like when Hammer shows up in Iron Man 2 and Rhodey has acquired the Mark II Iron Man suit, and Hammer's showing him all the different weapon options he can put on it, and he goes, okay, which one do you want? And he goes, all right, I'll take them. And he's like, which one? All of them. I can't believe for 1 second Rhodey's like, yeah, just take all the arm cannons off, and just take all the missiles off, and just give me a stick to carry around. Yeah, I have a hard time believing that. Sorry. Doesn't make any sense. So let's see if I lost all the chat. Probably did. No, all the chat's there. Well, I'll never be able to catch up to all that chat. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Welcome back 7 hours later. Jeez. How long was the PC down for? Anybody have any idea? Was anybody timing it? If you ever seen that movie Office Space, I feel for this PC the same way they did for that, what was it, a fax machine that they had or a copier? They took it out into the field and destroyed the gosh darn thing. Gosh, this is so easy putting these batteries in compared to how they were a few years ago. I don't know what they did different. Maybe the spring tension has been made less. I don't know. I don't know why it's so easy. I mean, it was a real task putting in these batteries. It was painful. They would just shoot out, fly all over the place. You'd have to look on the floor for them, try to find them, try to do it inside a closed box, keep them from flipping all over the place. And I mean, to this day, I probably have batteries underneath shelves and desks and such that I've not been able to find, that I've dropped, had shoot out of my Iron Man figures. So I tried to put the batteries in them. I made a video even trying to figure different ways, taping the batteries up and putting them in there as one unit. Anything to try to put some sort of stop to all that. So the fists, of course, don't have a repulsor light in them. I don't remember if there was ever one that had the fist that does. And normally I put the just the articulated hand on here, but for the repulsor hand, you really can't get that. You can't get an articulated hand into the repulsor hand pose, but you can get an articulated hand into a type of a fist. So that's why I like the articulated hands the most, because you can do that. But if you're just going to have like a relaxed pose of like the museum pose or in the Hall of Armor, just use the articulated. I will just use the articulated hand and put it in type of a relaxed pose structure as such, instead of using the fist or the repulsor hand. And sometimes on these repulsor hands as well, you'll want to wiggle them a bit to get the light to pass through them the best. Let's see if that's the case on this one too. Yeah, the different positions on him afford more light to shoot directly out of it. That seems to be the most light path with it at such of an angle as that, which works. But then again, there's not going to be any batteries kept in him. But without any cannons, without any arm cannons, just seems weak. You know what I mean? So take the batteries out of this. And then we'll move on to the chest arc reactor. red cellophane. We're talking about the red cellophane in regards to making the lights appear red compared to the pink. Or really, that's that this is red plastic that they've already got on it. But the white light is so powerful, it just bleeds out the red and makes it look pink. So they've already put the red on there. I don't know if they ever used a red LED on any of them. I don't remember if they did. They may have. But again, the red LEDs require so much more juice to light up. So the curse of the war machine in regards to getting that red look, it's never going to happen. This isn't going to happen. Come on now. And both arms, by the way, can have batteries put in them, not just the left arm, the right arm as well. Batteries going in it too. Same place. So right here where the elbow is where you would lift this off to put the battery in there. But nope, no arm cannons that pop up at least. Why isn't this piece snapping on? Put it on the bottom and then snap up to the top. Figure out once we start posing him which hands we're going to put on here. How we're going to pose them out. So there's a couple flaps in the back evidently. What page did we see the back flaps on? Page 1. Flip open the flaps. Flip open the deployable air flaps at the back. Well, what they show is this piece coming off. I don't see a flip open deployable air flap. There's no flip open deployable air flap. Just this piece just flies off. How the hell is this a flip open deployable air flap? That doesn't make any sense. That's not a flip open. That doesn't flip. There's no flip on there. There's no hinge. Nothing moves here. There's no flip open, nothing. And there's no flip open deployable air flap. Just the back piece that pops off. And you get the pegs and the holes that hold it in place. So forget the instruction manual says. There's no flip open deployable air flap. Boy, they really went low tech on this war machine for fact. So it's funny, every War Machine, I'm like, oh man, I love this one. This is so amazing. Look how awesome this is. This is the most amazing War Machine I've seen. Not feeling it. Not totally blown away on this one. I'm more like, yeah. So I'm assuming these are the biggest batteries. AG3 LR41s. And for real, by the way, if you were like leave the batteries in here, dude, you wouldn't even get like an hour out of them. I've had them when I first was making these videos. I've had the batteries go dead in the process of making the video. And you look over and there's like no light, nothing in it anymore. So there was a time when I'd put them in and leave them in, and then come through and flip them on every now and again. It's such a hassle to get to them. You got to remove the deployable air flap or flip open it, you know, to get to it. It just was just such a hassle. And then one day I'm sitting here and I'm hearing bang. I'm like, what the hell is that? I came in here and I'm looking around trying to figure out what was that noise I just heard, and then I heard it again. Bang. And it was these batteries exploding. So it was at that moment that I decided to start taking the batteries out of my toys. I certainly don't want to leave them in them. Low humidity where I live. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything in regards to that, but don't leave your batteries in your figures. And they don't make these small little batteries like lithium ion batteries. From my understanding, they don't explode, they don't melt, they don't dissolve out, there's no acid to leak out of them. But these mercury oxide or whatever they are, silver oxide or whatever, they do. They will. They'll just explode right out. So yeah, here we are, pink again. So now there's a little bit of red up here, a little more red than the pink there. Turn it off, turn it on again for you. And that's been the case, I mean, from the very first War Machines. It just comes pink. But that little piece there is red. I wish they'd done that with the iron, the Spider-Man suit, which has all the lights throughout the body. I wish they'd done that like they did here with these little red dots here, like they did with the 46 and 47, where the lights are just throughout the entire body. I wish they'd done that with the Spider-Man. That'd have been too freaking cool. And I wish that they would do it with the Mysterio. I don't anticipate it happening with the Mysterio, unfortunately. So one last time before I turn them off. Take them out. But again, I can't say this enough. If ever there was an AC, these guys would be lit up all the time. Well, not all the time. Like how I light this up right now. I'd light them up, turn them on. The nuclear power facility would have to be running to supply electricity to the city, because I would be drawing it. What do we got here? What's this? And right into the box this will go with the other batteries. Now there's no little slot in this battery door, whereas the helmet had one. There's no slot on this. So you'd have to run the wires through the side or put a hole in it, something to that effect, should you do that. Yeah, flip open the deployable air flaps at the back. There's I don't know if they planned on putting deployable air flaps on here or what the deal was. I don't know if they planned on making a more advanced or deluxe figure that possibly had arm cannons on it. I don't know if there were arm cannons ever on this suit. There's definitely nothing here. I'm going to flip through this instruction manual just in case I missed something. I don't see nothing, man. I don't see nothing. Let's figure out how to take this chest piece off. Pretty easy. So right here at this, where it ends at the arm joint, it just pulls right off. Nothing to it. It's not, doesn't appear to be battery or magnet attached. Looks pretty cool. The insides there, did a good job with that. Again, I don't think I've ever posed any figure with the chest piece off. I don't believe any of them have their chest piece off of them. Not one. But it works for, you know, photographing or creating your figure, telling your story, if that's part of your story. Butterfly joints in the shoulders. Come out too easily. It's pretty rare now. I think my Mark 43 does that, where as you pull the butterfly joint out, the arm just comes right out with it. That shouldn't have come out. So that's a problem. It shouldn't be so easy for this arm to come out of there. You should be able to pull the arm out as such without it being as difficult as it just was on this side. See how easy that comes out? So I was doing that same movement on this other side. It literally popped clean off. So sometimes in the assembly process, you get screwy arms like that. And I've got a screwy arm. See if I can figure out which end is up on this. Yeah, this is definitely jammed in there. That's taking some serious effort to pull that arm out. The good thing is there's on this piece, the two tabs, one is thicker than the other. So it's easy to figure out which way it goes. The longer or wider one goes at the top. Should you ever be in this situation, I think my Mark 43 does the same thing. Yeah, I'm having to pull very carefully to get this arm out of here. I can feel it fighting me the entire time. This guy, I mean, there's no effort at all. This comes in and out. This one, I'm trying to push it in now. It's not wanting to go in. It takes effort to push it in and effort to pull it out. So it happens. I just happen to have one like that. I guess it's good. I guess it's good to have a tight joint instead of a loose joint, right? Let's put a shoulder cannon on. So this rotates. Pivot, rotate, pivot. So you got 1, 2, and this actually is a rotating one. And then this. It's not the most articulated cannon that we have ever had. And it only goes in one spot. There's one slot there. Now I suppose if you really wanted to, you could customize yours, because there's a slot here that appears that it could go higher or lower, but they only put one in it. And maybe that's because in the scene that he happens to be in, we only see it on his one shoulder. So that might be why it is as such. Is everything I have 1/6 scale? Most everything is. I have a 1-to-1 scale Transformers Bumblebee car. The Ant-Man figures, I try to collect those in multiple scales because it's smaller. So like 1/9, 1/12, 1 whatever the next size is, 43rd, 1/50th, whatever they sell it as. So I've got Ant-Man in multiple sizes because I like to pose him shrinking down. Hulk, I would do the same thing if they made a good Hulk, because Hulk gets bigger. I'd buy a 1/4 scale Hulk if I could. Rather than that, I just stick with the 1/6 scale because of the quality in regards to them. So now 1/12 scale is starting to get some really good quality figures in them. 1/9, there was King Arts, a couple other companies made 1/9 scale, but they just weren't, the quality wasn't there. The 1/9s that I have, they just fall apart all the time. I really wasn't impressed at all. But I started collecting the 1/12, 1/6 scale originally because of the quality on them. I mean, it's like having a wax museum in your house. The 1/12 scale almost always looks cartoony, whereas the 1/6 scale really, it looks like the actors or the characters that they're portraying. So all that you see in here is 1/6 scale. All these 250 whatever figures it is that I have in here, for the most part, are 1/6 scale, except for when I'm doing the multiples, like in the Ant-Man. Got multiple scales of Ant-Man. Other than that, everything in here is 1/6 scale, thereabouts. For instance, the King Arts Avengers gantry that was in Avengers Stark Tower that he used to suit up and unsuit the Mark VI. It's a 1/9 scale King Arts gantry. There was a company that made a 1/6 scale, but in my opinion, examining the footage of the film and looking at the comparison of that gantry, that 1/9 scale really is a 1/6 scale gantry. It really is. Like I said, there was a company that made a 1/6 scale gantry. I never seen it in person, so I don't know how much larger it really is. I would imagine it would have to be quite larger, but that King Arts gantry fits in a Detolf actually really good as well. So not only does it fit in a Detolf, which works for most collectors, it also, truthfully, in my opinion, really is 1/6 scale. So yeah, 1/6 scale is what I collect. I have, because of the Bumblebee Transformer Camaro that I own, I have a lot of scales of those cars. So I've got 1/18th, I've got 1/25th, I think. I don't even know what all the scales on those are. I've got a one, I think it's 1/6. It may not be. It may only be like a 1/7 or something. I'm not sure exactly. It's close to 1/6. RC Camaro. It's a silver one. I plan on making it one day look like my Transformers Camaro, my yellow and black Bumblebee Camaro. One day. Another one of those projects. I've owned that car for, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years, and it's still just the way that it was that I first got it. So is chat working, guys? Is anything being said over here in the chat? I don't see anything new coming up in the world. My screen freeze? This thing's still live? It says I'm live. So not much going on with this War Machine, is there? It's kind of a boring piece. So this will go in the box with the display stands. Why is this not screwing down more? Seems to be the problem here. Wow, those threads are long. That's probably why. Holy cow, look at the length of that thread. I wonder if there's a shorter one. Sheesh. How long that is. Man, I thought for a fact I'd had a shorter one. I don't want to use the clear plastic, and I don't want to use the articulated pose stand. That explains why I used that one that I used. Hi, you are live. Beautiful, thank you. Good to see some chat going on there. I was afraid that I'd lost it all. Is that camera out of focus? Don't tell me that camera's out of focus, guys. Is it out of focus? Or is it just terrible internet connection giving me a low quality image on the internet? Doesn't appear to be out of focus over there. My Clark Kent curl on my forehead. My coronavirus haircut. I'll be happy when I cut my hair again. I got clippers. I'll just go to town. Go with a mohawk. That'd be insane. What am I looking for? I'm looking for something here. This. This one doesn't seem to be wanting to tighten down much. Yeah, see how much shorter that thread is? I almost want to Dremel this to get it shorter. I can't imagine needing such a long thread on anything ever. This is way too much thread. It really needs to be Dremeled down. Hacksaw if you don't have a Dremel. There we go. That's a good tight fit. That one just wasn't locking in place wherever it bounced around to. Here it is. This one will go in storage. Let's get this over here on this War Machine base. Storage, storage, storage. Back in the box. Back in the paper. Back in the plastic bag. I know there's guys out there that only collect the War Machines. There's War Machine collectors out there, but that's all they're interested in. They are not Iron Man fans as such and don't really care for them, and they're very happy to get the War Machines. And I'm sure that they're pleased as all get out that this figure is here. But it's just not a... That's the War Machine. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy to have him. I don't regret it at all. But it's just not the beefy, grunty War Machine. I mean, the very first War Machine was just this big, beefy, grunty mass of a suit. The presence of it was well known when it entered the room. I mean, you knew it was there. And the War Machine Mark II just wasn't there. It was just very too Iron Man-y, if that makes any sense, too streamlined. And so, of course, as the 3 and the 4 came out, they just got beefy and grunty, and then we're back to not beefy and grunty. See if we can find an action pose for this that we like. There's just no way of really keeping this faceplate up to show off Don Cheadle's face well. It's just the curse of the War Machine in that regards. You know, I don't have, you know, this guy really to get a good pose on me, I had to have him spilling off of the suit. I don't necessarily have to, off of the display stand. It's not really a requirement for this. It's just, you just don't have to make him be everywhere to do anything. It's just like posing an Iron Man suit, really. That faceplate, man, it just doesn't want to stay. I may just put, I think I'm just going to go with the relaxed hands. Articulated fingers. Just a boring stand. I think that's what we're going with. Don't have much room on the Avengers shelf as it is. See what happens when the Iron Patriot shows up. And again, do any of y'all know whether or not the team suit is this suit? The Quantum Realm suit, the Avengers team suit as it's called also, if it's this suit. So by the way, you can pose the shoulder cannon either up or in attack mode. Or you don't have to pose it at all. It could just be, you know, because most of them seem to come out of someplace. Pose it without it, I guess, if you feel so inclined. That's about it. That's all we got. That's what we're going with. So if you're looking for a badass War Machine Mark IV for fact, or the Punisher War Machine, which I think is the Mark IV also, or was it the Mark III? I guess the Mark III. Yeah, it's a Mark III. So either one of those, if you're looking for a badass War Machine, for fact, you'll want to go with one of those. But this is the current War Machine, not the Iron Patriot. The current War Machine. So he will be the one that will be on display with the Avengers. He is the in-game War Machine. And he will go up there. And of course, this shoulder cannon can go over either shoulder, whichever one you want it on. I don't know if I'll be able to display him with the shoulder cannon on when he's in the. Well, let me get one of those Hall of Armor cases down here. I bought 2 sets of 7s. The first set I bought, years ago, and the second one I bought with the re-release for displaying the War Machines. And I had the extra pieces just in the back. Let's see how much I can have on him putting him up there. These guys are put on upside down for whatever reason. Need to flip that wall over. I'll remove this wall so you guys can see in there easier. Yeah, that cannon's in the way. See if there's any way of shrinking it at all. Put these missiles down, might be able to still keep the cannon up, folding the missiles into the back. Nope, not going to happen. Keep trying with this and see if we can get any way of it being on there. See if we can turn it around as such, see if we can get it in there now. Looks like I might be able to. Darn tight. Darn tight. It's not going to work. So if you're putting them in the hull of armor, the shoulder cannon's got to go. Sliding it down here a little bit more, just in case. I really don't want to give up on this shoulder cannon. He's got the shoulder cannon on all the others. Why can't I have it on this one? I'm not going to give up yet. There's got to be a way of getting it on there. So, I've moved it all the way down the back to just about as low as it can go and still be over the shoulder. I think it can get in there now. Now it might be too far in the back to get in here. So of course there's no rod in this. I'm just test fitting it before actually putting them up there onto the shelf at the top there. How's it look, guys? Is he in there? Yeah, he's not touching the top. So I was able to get that shoulder cannon in there. Still have the little missile pods here open. Let's see if we can have this other missile system open here. See how high that goes. And the bumblebee flaps. See if we can have those up. No. Yeah, this works. So you can go with shoulder cannon in one of the missile pods. And it looks good. What do you think? And of course, this will be the one that the 6 will go in once the Iron Patriot shows up. Getting out of my hand. Come on, guys. Chill out. Change the head sculpt out. Put the Don Cheadle head in the drawer. Pull out the regular one that doesn't have the Don Cheadle head. I do have the Don Cheadle head in my Iron Patriot up there. Got him saluting. I like that. All the other ones I have just a regular head sculpt on. And of course you can just close this up and leave the Don Cheadle in there. I might do that too. It really doesn't make a difference. When you AC power these, by the way, these lights don't come on. They're still run through the batteries in here. They're not connected to the AC power, which makes 0 sense. Don't understand why they didn't hook it into the AC power on these two. So it's kind of disappointing not having those lights light up when you have this AC powered, but it's not. And so none of mine light up because of that. Let's get this guy flipped over too. Yeah, what do we see him in this suit? Do we just see him like showing up at the little meeting as they're giving a rundown of what's happening here and there and whatever else? By the way, so like there's some discussion about when they talk about you know, when they're giving Black Widow the rundown as all the different Avengers and everyone show up in their little holographic suites as they're talking to her, telling her what's going on before who was it? Tony hadn't come back yet. They didn't know where Hawkeye was, and they said something about a disruption in the ocean or something. I forget what it was that they'd said. So the theory is that that's Prince Namor. We're going to see Prince Namor soon. That's the theory. And that the Submariner, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew that or not. That's the theory on what that reference was about. So what else we got going on? I guess that's about it in regards to everything that's happening. So thanks for tuning in this week. Next week I think I'm doing Hawkeye. I don't remember. They're already scheduled up. And like, subscribe, give a thumbs up. That helps out a lot in regards to the search for people finding videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, this is your channel. You guys are really the ones that direct it. I stayed really busy and didn't keep up with the chat this time as much as I normally do. If you feel like helping out, if you feel like being a producer of the show, I have a Patreon account, www.patreon.com/Siri Emerald, all one word, SIRIEMERALD. I've got nothing to give you for being a Patreon supporter except my eternal love and gratitude. $1 a month would help out so much. You have no idea. I have some wonderful Patreon supporters. Thank you very much. You guys are great. Not a single one of you have ever asked to have your name. You've all asked to be anonymous, and I have no problem with that, but I would gladly shout your name from the rooftops. I've received letters and correspondences from many of you, and again, you've asked for anonymity, and I appreciate that. I've got a figure delivered to me in the past, and I love all of that. So if you guys want, you know, I'll make it as public or as private as you desire. So if you want to get your name out there, I'll shout it out every week. But you're welcome to be a Patreon supporter. I would love it. $1 a month helps out so much. Like, subscribe, click the bell notification so you know when I've got videos coming up. If I know what I'm going to be doing, I'll put it up there. But for the most part, you can count on there being a video every Saturday morning, the same time it was today. I think only twice did I ever not do a Saturday video in the last 2 years that I've been doing them now, or however long it's been. So you guys know where to find me, and talk about what you got going on in the chat. Share what you've been doing. Keep the chat going. Let's keep it a good family thing. Let us know what your projects are. A lot of you have a lot more information than what I've got going on, and are very educated as well in regards to the community and the figures and retailers and opinions and the movies and everything else that's going on. Again, it's your channel just as much as it is mine. We're all one big happy family. I love every one of you. And again, thank you very much. We'll be here next Saturday for fact. I'm working on an anti-OC video to post. Hopefully I'll get it out. I always have these huge images, 5,000 pixels square that I have. So whenever I put them up, they're definitely 4K in that regards. I wish this would film in 4K. It's an 8K camera. So it's filming in 8K, but the internet only loads it up at 720 or whatever it is, 1920 or something. So I have a 4K camera. I got my Sony back there, but it doesn't do live broadcasts. So unless one of you guys know how to turn my video camera into a live broadcast, hey, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. For fact, I would do that in a second. So thanks again for tuning in. I love every one of you guys, and you'll see him. He'll be up in the wall next week, and keep in touch. Peace out. Stay safe, and don't give up the fight, right? Love every one of y'all. Thanks. See you on the next video.